Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great weekend. I am Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond, and I'm on here today because yesterday I want to take a look at with you all this little powwow that was had between arch enemies Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Like, I did not see that coming. I know that after Ron DeSanctimonious, right? I mean, just think about all of the horrific and awful and taunting statements that Trump made about DeSantis. You know, while DeSantis was campaigning, Trump was really, we know the backstory. Trump was really sour about the fact that Ron decided to run, period, because he thinks he's completely responsible for Ron becoming governor in Florida. Mind you, if I recall, when he first ran, when Ron DeSantis first ran, he won Florida by a 1 percentage point, right? That other dodo head who went and blew, who I shall not be named here, right? I can't even bring myself to say his name, but he had it. He had it. He had such a bright future, and he blew it. But anyway, the point is, he won by 1 percentage point when he had Donald Trump's backing. So it's not like he did all that. A lot of hoopla was made about the fact that he won when he was reelected in 2022. He won by 20 points. He was running against Charlie Crist, who, I might as well have jumped up and run as the Democratic candidate for governor in Florida. Like, Charlie Crist was a no-go from day one. The DNC gave him no money. He had really no backing. He ran a horrible campaign. So yeah, Ron DeSantis could have went to sleep for all of those months and still woke up with a huge a landslide win in Florida. But that said, and I'm only mentioning that because there's all of this hullabaloo about, even as Ron DeSantis was planning to run for president and planning his campaign, it was, oh, he's so dynamic and look what he's done in Florida. And like, it's such, so much subterfuge. But anyway, let's keep going. Another thing that happened this weekend. So this meeting between DeSantis and Trump was on yesterday, on Sunday. Saturday we had the White House Correspondents' Dinner for President Biden, and Colin Jost did an amazing job. In fact, I am going to post a link for those of you who may not have seen it. I'm going to post a link to his piece, his roast at the dinner on Saturday, down in the below here in the description box. Please check it out. It's like 20 minutes long. It is so worth the watch. He did his thing as far, he's an SNL guy, for those of you who may not be married to Scarlett Johansson. That doesn't hurt. So he's got that celebrity star factor. He did his job roasting Biden. There were some real, little punches in there, and of course, everybody. It's a correspondence dinner. Everybody took it in stride and lots of laughs. But the one thing he said as he wrapped it up, and this had the house in, the whole house in his grasp. And he's sharing a story of his grandfather, because of course there was so much shared about Biden's age during the roast. And Colin Jost is talking about his grandfather and how Joe Biden reminds him of his grandfather. And he said, quote, he's talking about his grandfather, and he says, excuse me, he voted for you. And the reason that he voted for you is because you're a decent man. My grandpa voted for decency, and decency is why we're all here tonight. Decency is how we're able to be here tonight. Decency is how we're able to make jokes about each other, and one of us doesn't go to prison after. And we go to the Newsmax after party. Great joke. But really, it was a very touching moment. Again, I'll post the link. Worth your watch if you haven't seen it already. But notice the repetition of the word decency, and that had to be extremely deliberate, because that is something that I think, whatever your feelings are about Joe Biden, his age, whether or not he should have been the candidate this term, decency is a word that I think across the board people would apply to Joe Biden, and that just rang through the House. So, speaking of decency, that leads me to a word that you would not use when you're talking about Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump. So, I'm thinking, and that's when I'm going to go to the cards on that. What was that really about? Supposedly, it was put together by this real estate muckety muck in Florida, Steve Witkoff. He's the one who brokered the deal, apparently, to bring these two people to the table, DeSantis and Trump. Because again, remember, they have not been on speaking terms. It got so ugly between them. Ron DeSantis, unlike Nikki Haley, you go girl, endorsed. He broke down and endorsed just because he said he would toe the party line, and if it looked like Trump was the presumptive nominee, that he would toe the line and endorse him, and he did. But he hasn't come out and like campaigned or, from what I understand, really done anything behind the scenes to try and promote Trump. So that's what this meeting was about. We know that Trump is so strapped for cash that ain't ending no time soon, and so this Steve Witkoff was like, look, Ron, you've got some connections to money. At one point, Ron DeSantis was raising money hand over fist when he launched his campaign. We also know that he horribly, or his camp, his people, horribly mismanaged that money. And by the time he dropped out in, what was it, January, his campaign was going broke. I mean, he was just literally bleeding through money, all the private planes and the this and the that. So, whether or not he is really the arbiter of all things wonderfully financial and can be someone who can really help, raise tremendous amounts of money for Trump, I have a huge question mark about that. Spirit is like, I don't even know. This whole thing, apparently they met for like 3 hours yesterday, and I'm not so sure that it was even worth anybody's time, but we'll see. I'm going to go to Spirit on that. The other thing, though, I'm going to talk about, in terms of DeSantis' positioning to really help Trump. Let's look at it this way. He's getting a lot of backlash right now for this book banning situation. We know that he was one of the most vocal proponents of banning books, anything having to do with LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, anything anti-woke, or anything too woke, I should say. He was like, no, we got to get rid of these books. But the way the law was passed is anybody, a parent, somebody off the street could walk in, and or make a phone call and complain about the subject matter of a book, and it would automatically have to be pulled from all shelves in the schools until the school board had a chance to examine the complaint. This has led to a slew of books, and a startling detail I just found out. State Florida is responsible now for 72% of books that have been banned from schools nationwide. So it gets started here, and it's that trickle effect. Horrible statistic, and he is getting a lot of blowback, because now what's happening is it's like some liberal parents are fighting fire with fire. They said somebody called and said, you got to get the Bible up out of there. Then if that's what we're doing, I don't go along with that. So this thing is really blowing up. He's got a mess on his hands about the book banning, and he's trying to walk it back already, DeSantis, like he normally does. Well, that's not really what it was intended to do. Yeah, okay. So that's one strike against him. Disney, remember, we all heard about how DeSantis was this fearless guy, able to take on, David and Goliath, and he was taking on Disney because of its refusal to buy into his rhetoric about anything anti-woke, anything anti-gay, the whole don't say gay law. Disney folks were like, no, we're not doing that. That's a whole part of our corporate identity, is being accepting of all people, and so anyway, we've all heard about that. That's been a long, protracted thing in the courts. But now those cases have been dismissed, and DeSantis came away with a nothing burger, all right? So he lost out on that case. Looking really stupid right now for these book bans. And the one to really watch is, you may know, DeSantis got rid of two really powerful Democratic state attorneys. Monique Worrell out of the Orlando area, and we have Andrew Warren out of Hillsborough, huge county, Tampa area. Twice elected Democrat, young, progressive, very much about, in favor of women's reproductive rights, doing a really good job, supposedly, according to statistics, on reducing crime. And DeSantis just jumps up out of nowhere and says, no, the guy's not doing his job. He's not upholding the Florida state constitution. He's out of here. Well, guess what? That went through the appeals court. Apparently, Andrew Warren is like, not me. I'm not that person. I'm not going to fold. Monique Roel is apparently fighting her case as well. We'll see what happens with her down the road. But Andrew Warren he is running again on the November ballot to become the Hillsborough County State Attorney again. He was reelected twice, so he stands a pretty decent chance. And because he is very clear on his platform, and because I think there is quite a bit of anti-DeSantis sentiment going on in the state of Florida right now. Granted, he won re-election in 2022. Florida stuck with him until 2026. But I want to take a look and see now. This whole little powwow with Trump, Spirit is saying, look, this was all because DeSantis wants and is already putting things in motion to Ace of Wands. Got a confirmation before I can even get it out my mouth. This was all about, from DeSantis's point of view, this is all about positioning him for 2028. He is determined to get back out there. Two of Wands, that was the two of them coming together. Notice how all this fire coming up already, right? Ace of Wands. So that's what it was. It's DeSantis saw this as a way to get his name, because we haven't really heard a lot about him on the national stage. The headlines slowed down quite a bit when he went bye-bye with his presidential bid. So Ace of Wands, he is out there thinking about, he could care less about how much money he raises for Donald Trump. Trust me when I say, Spirit is like, that was not his primary motivation. However, I titled this, Did He Kiss the Ring? Because, he made a lot to do. Eight of Wands. This was the conversation between them. More fire. They both walked away from this meeting, you all, thinking, aha, brushing their shoulders off. Got that done. Look who came to me, sort of thing. The press is saying, media is saying, it was actually DeSantis's camp who, through this Steve Witkoff, arranged the meeting. As opposed to, you would think it would have been Trump's people, because of, being strapped for money, who would have reached out to DeSantis. Who knows? Spirit is telling me that was almost beside the point. The fact is, these two need each other. But Spirit, is he going to be able to do anything? Eight of Pentacles. So he is seen as, this is DeSantis, he is seen as a master of being able to get his hands on money. He does have a level of respect within the party. He did not leave with any real egg on his face. He didn't do anything. He didn't leave under any kind of disgraceful circumstances. He blew through a lot of money. He just didn't have the appeal, and he didn't have the staying power. It was almost like a flash in the pan effect that DeSantis had for a while. And it's almost as if there was more, I'm feeling with this, Spirit is saying there was so much more momentum that carried him into declaring his candidacy than there was after finally he became a candidate and it was time for him to really get out there. We remember how horribly he sucked on that debate stage until towards the end, when it was too late and he started finding his footing. I want to see, Spirit, is he really going to raise any cash for Trump? Eight of Cups. He's not really even interested or trying. He will do enough to among the party and to use his platform to remain visible. And if that means getting some money, throwing some money Donald's way for his campaign, he'll do that. But he is not going to be, someone who's really going to be boots on the ground, trying to get this man ahead. And I've got the King of Cups. Spirit is giving me Biden. Look, Spirit's giving me Biden to say, you know what? And he's King of Cups. He's a Scorpio. Spirit is like, listen, this is really desperation. This is desperation meeting desperation. DeSantis is, like I said, unfortunately, Florida stuck with him until 2026. But then he is out. Between 2026 2028, or really you figure 2027, late 2027 is when he would probably really start making moves for the 2028 presidential bid, because that's what he's going for. That's what DeSantis wants to do. And I think, looking at it from Trump's angle, Spirit is saying that was Trump's deal. Like, he's like, look, win, lose, or draw, although losing would send him, the thought of losing, the reality of losing is really going to take him over the edge. But where he already lives, right? But I think from Trump's end, the promise was, listen, I know I only have so much time on this stage, unless, of course, delusions of grandeur. If should I win, then I'm going to be king of America for life. And if I am, I'll give you a nice cushy position, right? Which DeSantis has said, I don't want anything from the guy. I'm not going to be his VP pick, which is true. He's not going to be the VP pick. He can't eat that much crow. And I think it's going to be a woman. I'm going to I wanted to keep this one shorter, but I want to take a look at Kristi Noem. That whole killing her dog thing, she was really right up there for, okay, I'm taking, Spirit is like, yep, go ahead and say it. She was really up there for the VP pick for Trump, Kristi Noem. And then this thing came out about she shot this puppy, and then people started posting pictures of this amazing looking little puppy, little thing. Like, ooh, I think there's trouble in the land behind that. I would not be surprised if that kind of tanked her, because I'm not sure in the court of public opinion, MAGA on down, you don't do pets, you don't mistreat pets that way. So I think that was a huge mistake. But anyway, you all, going back to this, DeSantis did go kiss the ring, but he did it because one way or another he understands that, money issues aside, Trump has the influence still within the party. And I think what Spirit is giving me is, despite whatever the outcome is of the trials, the trials are still going to be going on next year, 2026. I shuffled and just pulled Joe Biden again. He is so strong right now. Let me go ahead and give props to his energy. I think we're gonna be okay. He's gonna pull this out. The two swords. People are recognizing this is such a great pull for the energy between DeSantis and Trump. There is truly no love lost between those two. Trump saw DeSantis and his camp. DeSantis is just a possible tool for some money. I don't think, Spirit is saying DeSantis ain't going to pull it out that much. Nationally, he lost a lot of clout. Six of Wands, he's a blowhard, He's a blowhard. He is intelligent. Don't mistake. Ron DeSantis is very, very smart. He's very strategic, and he is ruthless. He is ruthless. That part, I think that kind of tickles Donald. And Donald respects that on some level. But at the end of the day, this was very much about the star. Thank you. This was only really from DeSantis' angle about his plans and his hopes for 2028. And he does see Trump as useful one way or another, whatever happens with Trump over the next couple of years. Because again, even after the election, those court cases, they have... Thanks to the Supreme Court on down, those cases are not going to go forward this year. Whatever happens out of the Alvin Bragg case, Spirit has already said he's not going to jail. What happens with him, we'll see. Of course, something has to happen if he's convicted. I hate to say it, okay, they're telling me go ahead and pull, and I'll look at it again in the coming weeks. But is this going to result in a hung jury? The Alvin Bragg case against Trump, the hush money trial, will it result in a hung jury? Ten of Pentacles. Oh, wait a minute. That could be unanimous. Hold up. And the Hermit. I don't know. Let me slow roll that back, you all. We might have... Again, I'm going to look more into this as we get into the trial, further down into the trial. But it looks like we might get a unanimous vote. I was thinking... But then again, we do have that Hermit. And that could be the lone person who steps back and says, I don't know. I don't know. But we're going to look a lot more into that as we go forward, and as we start getting some more witnesses on the stand. We know we got Stormy lined up, Karen McDougal, lots coming on with that. So we'll get into that a little bit. But yes, you all, the Desantis is out there. He is going to, because it gives him a platform and it gives him an ability out here, campaigning and trying to help fundraise for Trump. It just keeps him on the national stage, and that is what he wants. And it's not money out of his pocket, right? If he can be persuasive and get some people to put some money on the table for Trump, it's not his cash. It's not hurting him, and it shows the degree to which he may still have some juice out there with the GOP donors. So that's his game. Trump's game is, look, I got nothing to lose at this point. I need everybody that I can get, whatever I can get. And if Ron can help me, then, we know who's still the presidential or the presumptive GOP presidential nominee. So we know who's who. And ultimately, Trump is looking at Ron like, listen, I'm still the boss. I'm still the one calling the shots. You can go out here and in my name still make yourself relevant, which is what he thinks he did with regard to starting Ron DeSantis's upward swing with his first win here in Florida anyway. So, all right, you all, that's everything I got for you today. I wish you the absolute best. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you again really soon.